Alright guys, so I've been using the iPhone 16 Pro here for almost 2 weeks now, and in today's video I just want to share with you a little bit of my experience with this particular device. Bear in mind that this is not like an in-depth review, but rather just my personal experience and what I think about this new guy. Let's check it out. Now first things first, in terms of the design, I know a lot of y'all already are aware of how it looks like. It still looks very minimalist, it looks very clean. You know, design is very subjective. There's going to be a camp of people who wants a new change, and there's going to be a camp of people who wants things to remain the same. So ultimately, it's really up to your personal opinion. Now moving on to the second point here, has there really been an upgrade to the display? You know, what do I really feel here? Now in terms of the displays, the iPhones has always had the one of the best displays, LTPO panels, and I would say the same case here for the brand new iPhone 16 Pro models. This year's model, however, has even thinner bezels all around the device. So what you're actually getting here is a slightly bump in terms of display size, but the feel of the phone remains the same in your hands. I do appreciate that larger screen estate because I do a lot of editing, like my picture editing and my video editing on the go. So it's great to have a slightly larger screen on the brand new iPhone 16 Pro series. Now it's worth mentioning that the brightness itself has not really been bumped up. So I was just taking a couple of photos earlier on, and it takes up quite a fair bit of processing power when it's using all those brand new photography styles, which I'll talk a bit about later. And the screen does dim to a certain extent where sometimes you might not be able to see the screen that clearly, but once the phone cools off, it goes back up to its normal brightness. So speaking about the photography styles, this actually brings me on to one of my favorite features of the iPhone 16 Pro, and that's the styles that you actually get built into the phone's camera app. Now the photography styles is a bit different compared to the filters that you see on the iPhone 15 Pro series. This time around, it allows you even more control as to how you want to tweak the image to look like. Now personally, I feel that these styles here looks fantastic. As someone who edits photos after taking them, I find that these photography styles are good enough to the point where I do not actually need to edit the photos after taking the shot. Better yet, there's quite a fair bit of styles that you can actually choose from, so it really depends on what kind of vibe you're going for. Now the photography style that I love the most is actually called stark black and white, and in this case it's actually able to capture some really interesting black and white shots with very minimal noise. So just in terms of the cameras, although the megapixel count might remain the same, but there's a lot of fun new things for you to play with. Now I'm not going to mention too much about the camera button because I think a lot of y'all already know that. A lot of people might not find it very useful, but I think for those of you who like to take videos like this, with the camera button now on the side, it makes it a bit easier for them to take those videos. Alright, so that's just in terms of the cameras. Now in terms of the battery life, I do find that the battery life has been quite good on the 16 Pro. My screen on time that I got is about 6 to 7 hours on one single charge. And personally, I charge my device I think about twice a day because my actual usage of the screen goes sometimes up to 10 or 11 hours. I know that's a bit extreme, but that's how I've been using the 16 Pro, and personally I find that the battery is still as good as before. Now again, battery life is something that will differ in terms of your use case, so everyone's battery life is going to be different. If you are someone who games a lot, if you're someone who's taking 4K videos all the time, naturally your battery life will suffer a bit more than those who do not. Now last but not least, let's talk a bit about the chipset here. Do I feel any significant updates in terms of speed? Now personally, again, the iPhones has always been very smooth. In fact, people who are using their iPhone 13s, 14s, they're actually still using them with a very satisfied user experience. So I would say that if you are comparing this 16 Pro to last year's 15 Pro, you might not actually notice any significant upgrades in terms of speed. However, if you're coming from the 13 Pro devices, you might notice a bit of a difference when it comes to the 16 Pro. Now regarding Apple Intelligence, I can't really comment on that because it's not officially available yet, so I've not really been using it, to be honest. So this is as far as what I can say in terms of my 2-week experience with the 16 Pro. Now ultimately, what do I think about the 16 Pro? Well, I do see a couple of new updates coming to the device. There's that new camera button, which again might be useful to some. There's the new photography style, which might actually help a lot of entry-level photographers to, get access to more controls and take some even better photos. There's also the updated 4K 120 slow-mo videos, and they're all packaged into this slightly larger display, but with not much of a change to the size of the phone itself. So, should you upgrade if you are coming from a 15 Pro series? Well, the question is really up to you. Do you have enough budget? Do you want the latest? Do you want all the new features? If your budget is not an issue, then you might as well just upgrade. Now moving on to those who are using the 13 or 14 Pro models, should you upgrade? Again, it really depends on your use case. I think for someone who is using the iPhone 13 Pro series, this should be a nice upgrade because you're getting a couple of new features and a refreshed device that will last you a couple more years to go. Anyways, let me know what you think about the brand new 16 Pro series. Thank you for watching today's video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.